All right, guys, so today I'm going to be reacting to this article. It says projecting every college game day location for the 2023 season, and we're going to go week by week and react to each one of these. And then I also do have some suggestions. I went through the schedule, and this is very hard projecting this far ahead. You have to kind of think about the teams you think are going to be good, who's at home, what's the best game, is it on an ESPN network? There's a lot of different things that go into it, but it is something that I just wanted to do, so this is just an article. It says week 1, Colorado at TCU, so they think game day, they're going to give it to TCU after making the national title, and you've got Deion Sanders, his debut with Colorado. You know, personally, I would like to see game day go to Utah. You've got the Florida-Utah home and home happening, but there is a rumor that Florida-Utah game might be on a Thursday night. And then the other game I think game day might do is the neutral site matchup between South Carolina and North Carolina I think that's at the Carolina Panthers Stadium. They might do that one as well. I mean, Colorado at TCU, I think TCU is going to lose 4 or 5 games next year. They do not return much at all. And then Colorado, we just have no clue what we're going to get from them. They've got an entirely new roster. Their goal is probably, I'd say, to make a bowl game. That would be a huge improvement for them. I mean, they won one single game last year. So we will see. I could definitely see ESPN doing something like that depending on what happens with the Florida-Utah game. There's not a ton of hype surrounding Florida right now with the loss of Anthony Richardson, and then Utah's in a very muddled Pac-12 with so much returning QB talent. Moving to week 2, you've got the Texas-Alabama home and home. They think they're going to Tuscaloosa week number 2. My counter to that would be Nebraska at Colorado for Deion Sanders' first home game with Colorado. You know, we'll see what they do. They probably would go to Bama, but Nebraska at Colorado with those two fan bases reuniting, I could see something fun between that. But yeah, I would probably agree. Texas at Bama is the matchup. I'm not sure who has TV rights to that Texas-Alabama game. I'm guessing it's ESPN networks. Or, yeah, I would guess because the game is in the SEC technically because it's at Bama. Last year, the game was on Big Noon because it was at Texas and they had the rights to it. So I'm guessing if ESPN networks have the rights to this game, that would just make it even easier for College Game Day to pick that one up. Week number 3, Tennessee at Florida. Yeah, this is a dud. I would be against this. My dark horse pick would be San Diego State at Oregon State. Oregon State just got a new stadium, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think College Game Day has been there in forever, and you know College Game Day likes to do this at least once, maybe twice a year. Go to a place they never go to. They barely ever go to Oregon State. They just renovated and got it. Actually, I think they just flat out got a new stadium. It was either a massive renovation or a new stadium. San Diego State, they're always solid. Oregon State with DJ Uiagalelei, it could be fun. Tennessee at Florida just doesn't do it for me based on Florida's quarterback situation. And really Florida's just massively underperformed multiple, like 4 or 5 straight years. Week number 4, Florida State at Clemson. Hard to argue it. There is another massive game that week, Ohio State at Notre Dame. But that Ohio State-Notre Dame game will be on NBC, and I guarantee you it'll be a 7:30 game on NBC. This Florida State at Clemson game will probably be 7:30 on ABC. So we might have massive dueling primetime games. Florida State, possibly a preseason top 10 team. Clemson, right on the borderline, possibly a top 10 preseason team. And then Ohio State at Notre Dame. My goodness. But yes, I do think they're going to go to FSU at Clemson week 4 over Ohio State at Notre Dame. Week number 5, Georgia at Auburn. really does not do it for me. Not interested in seeing Auburn. What I am interested in, LSU at Ole Miss. I don't know how long it's been, but I do think it's been multiple years since, or you know what, maybe they went for the Egg Bowl or something obscure, but it seems like College Game Day hasn't been to Ole Miss in a while, and they're hosting LSU, and you know, Ole Miss always has a good offense with Lane Kiffin. LSU has a ton of hype this year with what they return, Harold Perkins, the overall total team talent that LSU always has, the way they recruit. That could be a sneaky, really good game. LSU at Ole Miss. We will see. But, you know, I'm not interested in Georgia at Auburn. That game's got like 35-10 written all over it. Probably 42-10. Week number 6, Oklahoma versus Texas, the rivalry game. The only other game I could think they might go would be Alabama at Texas A&M, because Texas A&M has played Alabama really good the past few years. You know, they had the upset 2 years ago at home against Bama, and then last year it was just a 4-point game. Maybe they do Texas-Bama again, Jimbo Fisher versus Nick Saban, but I mean, that's going to be a really good rivalry game, Oklahoma-Texas. I'm expecting Oklahoma to be significantly improved next year, and then Texas should be good as well, only really losing Bijan Robinson. Now, we all like Bijan Robinson. We all know he's really good, but, you know, you return Quinn Ewers. He's going to be better with more experience. They're going to be a good team. Xavier Worthy's back. You know, we'll have to see. That'll be a really good game. Week number 7, USC at Notre Dame. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. If they don't go to Notre Dame for the Ohio State game, I would expect them to go there for the USC game. That's going to be a huge one. The only other game I could think of was Oregon at Washington. That's going to be a huge game as well, Oregon at Washington, but that game will be on Fox, I'm sure. Week number 8, Penn State at Ohio State. Yes, this is not even a question to me. I couldn't even, come up with another game. It's got to be Penn State at Ohio State. I mean, you're looking at both of these teams. I'd be shocked if either one of these teams was outside of the top 10. Even if one of them had a loss, I think they're probably still within the top 10. That's going to be a huge matchup in Columbus, and we would love that game to be a 7:30 ABC game. The last thing we want is Big Noon getting their hands on this game. The last thing. This should be a 7:30 ABC game, Penn State at Ohio State. Week number 9, they've got Oregon at Utah, so that's a very good game. You know what, guys? I'm going to have to disagree with this, though. I think they go to Wisconsin. Ohio State at Wisconsin, Week 9, Luke Fickell at home with all the transfer portal players Wisconsin has. They're in a very easy division. They're probably going to come into this game top 15 with one loss, taking on an Ohio State team who might have one loss or be undefeated. I think they go to Wisconsin for the first time in a while. They take advantage of that environment. This is probably going to be a 7:30 ABC game. They might go to Utah, but I definitely see them going to that Ohio State-Wisconsin game because I'm betting on Wisconsin being really, really good next year. Week number 10, LSU at Alabama. There's actually a number of really good games to choose from. It all comes down to, is LSU for real or not? Because if LSU has like 3 or 4 losses, there's zero chance they're going to Bama. The other games, this one, Washington at USC, and then Notre Dame at Clemson. That's a tough choice right there. But it comes down to, is LSU having that season that a lot of people expect? Brian Kelly maybe having a breakout year. If they're stumbling a bit, I'm sure they will go to California to see USC take on Washington. That's a heavyweight Pac-12 battle. Or maybe go to Clemson to see them take on Notre Dame. Moving to week number 11, Miami at Florida State. So I just think whoever was doing this wanted to get Florida State on this list, and I do agree they are going to want to showcase Florida State at least once. It's hard to trust Miami. Week number 11, Miami could have 4 or 5 losses at this point. You've got USC at Oregon. You've got Utah at Washington as well. 2 very good Pac-12 games. But, I mean, it just depends how good Miami is next year. If Miami's able to turn it around and they're like inside the top 20 and FSU is in playoff contention, I could certainly see them going to Tallahassee week number 11. Week 12, Georgia at Tennessee. So, yeah, I mean, there's just so little games week 12, the week before the rivalry matchups. I really couldn't find one on the schedule that I would argue, this is the rematch of the big game last year. Georgia on the road. We will see if they struggle at all at Tennessee. And then week number 13, it's always going to be Ohio State at Michigan. It's just these two teams right now. It is the best rivalry. And not only is it the best rivalry historically, it just seems to be a guaranteed top 10, maybe even top 5 matchup with a playoff spot on the line, with a Big Ten, championship berth on the line. It's like always the biggest matchup. So until it gets proven otherwise, you've got to put Ohio State very likely to be ranked inside of the preseason top 5. Michigan very likely to be ranked inside of the preseason top 5. Can Penn State maybe throw a wrench into these two game plans? Can Penn State maybe cause, a change at the top? Possibly. But right now, I think this has got to be the game that they go to in terms of the final rivalry week 13 in Ann Arbor. So, guys, those are just some interesting predictions on where College Game Day is going to be for the 2023 regular season. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.